I thought that this was very interesting. Tom Pelissero said if Bill was going to coach somewhere in 2025, it's for a job that's not yet open. To be honest with you, talking in back channels and people that I know, I heard the similar sentiment that he isn't impressed with any of these jobs that are currently open. I think Dallas is a job that he had his eye on. I think there's some other teams out there that he has his eye on. I don't think that the Dallas job will come open. I don't think it will. Looks like they might keep Mike McCarthy. Jerry Jones is a wild card, though. You never know. But one thing I will say is I find the conversation interesting. I find the conversation interesting. And, people are making a lot about Bill Belichick talking with UNC. Make no mistake about it. This is posturing. This is Bill pretty much going out there saying, hey, if you're interested in me, come get me because I'm willing to take other opportunities. I'm willing to listen to other offers that are out there. Just my thought process. J Lock says, Malik, you need to convince me that Mike Brown will pay Zac Taylor $9 million for 2 years for him not to coach. Here's what I will say. The Bengals have a lot on the horizon. They have Jamar Chase's contract coming up. Joe Burrow's contract is about to kick in. They need to figure out what they want to do with a couple of stars. They need to remake their entire defense. More importantly, they have a stadium that needs an upgrade. About to do a whole new stadium, apparently. You don't do that. You don't put asses in seats if your team is losing. Mike Brown is also turns 90 years old in August. If they want to win, the time is now. If they are going to be aggressive, the time is now. All the chatter that I hear out of Cincinnati is change is coming. I'm not saying from a coaching perspective. I was just told expect change.
We're discussing, Ben Johnson, Bill Belichick, and especially, oh, well, no one's going to pay Bill Belichick. I hate to break it to you, Ben Johnson is likely going to break the bank as well.
Oh yeah, Ben Johnson's asking for 10 for 10 a year, I believe. He wants a similar deal to what Gruden and McDaniels got. The Bengals aren't paying him that. You're crazy.
And it's like that's where at least right now, while we're having these discussions, I feel like it's important to, I don't view that as the important talking point, right? They won't pay Belichick, so let's go after Ben Johnson. He's the guy. No, that's not the talking point. The talking point is, number one, would they move off of Zac Taylor / should they? And two, what are they looking for in their new head coach that Zac Taylor wasn't giving them? What are they looking for in their new coaching staff that this coaching staff wasn't giving them, that forced them to get rid of them? And I think that that's where our answer will lie. And I think, like I said, breaking the bank for Ben Johnson, you're going to have to break the bank regardless. You're going to have to do something you haven't done before, right? You're going to have to pay Zac Taylor to sit at home. That's what you're going to have to do if you want to change things. And if you want to change things, I hate to say it, you might have to be forced to. Or if you lose 2 more games and you're at 10 losses and nothing else changes, what are you doing? And I just also struggle. Maybe I'm giving them too much credit. I struggle to see how much that they're going to pay Burrow and Jamar Chase in the next couple of years and think that they wouldn't even entertain change. Because when your pockets are getting hurt like that for 2 players, damn right you should be willing to change. And I hope, and I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, that they would be willing to change because, like I said, you've never paid 2 players as much as you're going to pay those 2 guys. And hopefully pay the Jamar Chase, but you'd be heading into next year looking at your pocket saying, I'm paying that much to these 2 guys, and we're coming off a 10-loss, 9-loss season. Like, obviously, the front office and talent acquisition is important. The part for me, and this is where I go with a head coaching search, it really is about winning close games, man. And that's the one thing I can't get out of my mind. And I can't get the stat of 1-6 or 1-7 in 1-score games. I'm sorry. When I look at other teams around the NFL that win 1-score games, that win close games, I can point to them and say their offensive line isn't the most talented. Their wide receivers, they're relying on a 4th-string wide receiver, but they win close games. So for me, for my philosophy, when I'm looking at if the Bengals were to move off of Zac Taylor, I want somebody that, hey, I know this dude wins close games. I know that this dude, because that's what I think this team is lacking. Yes, I do think that they're lacking a lot of talent. We talk about it on the defense side of the ball. I think they're lacking a ton of talent. Mm-hmm. I think that this team can win. I think that this team is a playoff caliber team. And if you're in 1-score games, I think that falls a lot of it it has to fall back on the coaching and it has to fall back on the head coach. And I struggle to see how you lose this much in your division. I struggle to see how you lose this much at the beginning of the season, how you lose this much in one-score games, and that doesn't fall back on the coach. So that's just for me when I look at what's going to take this team over the top. I really look at these one-score games, and I don't think that it's a fluke. I think that it's kind of changed, but I don't think that it's a fluke.
I also want to just reiterate to people, Marvin Lewis' situation is drastically different from Zac Taylor's situation. Stop looking at the fact that the Bengals went to a Super Bowl with Zac Taylor. It's not about that. The fact of the matter is Mike Brown and Marvin Lewis had an incredible friendship. Mike Brown was the Marvin Lewis' first coach that he had success with since his father's passing, since he took over the team. So we have to deal in reality here. He brought you out of the 90s. He brought you out of the lost decade, so to speak, and brought respectability to the team. Of course, you're going to be hard-pressed to move off of that coach. That's what built him so much goodwill, so much good faith. They were able to get players that wanted to play here. It was the first time Cincinnati was truly respected in over a decade. So, yes, it was hard to move off of a guy like Marvin Lewis, who was who brought in so much change. So much change within the organization and brought respectability back to the team. People also forget Marvin Lewis was one of the most sought after assistant coaches in the league that year, and the Bengals were able to land him. He was a very great defensive coordinator, right? And the Bengals were able to land him. And there's a reason why Marvin Lewis stayed as long as he did. He truly had a friendship with Mike Brown. It was like it became almost like family. With Zac Taylor, again, it's a little bit different. You realize you had to make change, and part of me thinks Mike Brown probably didn't even want to make the change, but realized he had to because it didn't make business sense anymore. So with this, again, not saying one way or the other, I don't believe this same notion that people have about Marvin Lewis and Zac Taylor are alike. The fact of the matter is they have never had a quarterback like Joe Burrow. And you have to start thinking long-term, if we keep that guy, we'll be able to keep Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, and players alike engaged. Will players want to come to Cincinnati? Coaches want to come to Cincinnati. I think a lot of people have a lot of fear built up because Marvin was here for 16 years. What I'll say is, don't be surprised. I don't think anybody is safe. I think 100% they're subject to change. So that's just my thought process. I think that this organization listens to the fans a lot more than y'all think they do, especially in the day and age of social media. They listen to you. But if y'all keep saying, oh, they're not going to make changes, you're just falling right into the narrative. That's just my thought process. You should want better. You should want change. You shouldn't want to settle for the status quo.